The Committee on Finance, Insurance, and Consumer Protection is called to order. Will the clerks please call the roll?
Chairwoman Kavanaugh.
Present.
Senator Irwin. Here. Senator McCann. Senator Bayer. Senator Camilleri? Here. Senator Heisinger?
Here.
Senator Tice? Here. Senator Daly? Madam Chair, you have 7 members present. There is a quorum.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from February 18th and January 28th, so moved by Senator Irwin. Without objection, the meeting minutes are adopted. I will also now make a motion to excuse absent members, and without objection, the motion carries. First, we're going to start this committee by voting out and reporting Senate Bills 701 and 702 brought to us and heard testimony last committee by Senators Lindsay and Senator Anthony in our meeting in January. Mr. Clerk, can you please read the cards in for the record?
Lauren Marks, United Way Southeastern Michigan, supports both bills. Thomas Aldani, Great Lakes Credit Collection Association, opposes both bills. Zach Ryan, Hemophilia Foundation of Michigan, supports both bills, and Caroline Roberson with the ALS Association supports both bills.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to report Senate Bill 701 to the floor with the recommendation that the bill pass. So moved by Senator Camilleri. Will the clerk please call the question?
I'm reporting 701, Chairwoman Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Senator Irwin.
Yes.
Senator McCann.
Yes.
Senator Bayer. Yes. Senator Camilleri.
Yes.
Senator Heisinger.
Yes.
Senator Tice.
Yes.
Senator Daly. Madam Chair, there are 7 yeas and 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to report Senate Bill 702 to the floor with recommendation that the bill pass. So moved by Senator Bayer. Will the clerk please call the question?
I'm reporting 702, Chairwoman Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Senator Irwin.
Yes.
Senator McCann. Yes. Senator Bayer. Yes. Senator Camilleri.
Yes.
Senator Heisinger.
Yes.
Senator Tice. Yes. Madam Chair, there are 7 yeas and 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you. And next, what I believe most of you here are for, we have a big agenda item talking about some safety for our children and when it comes to our social media platforms. So next on our agenda, we'll discuss Senate Bills 757 through 760, which were introduced by Senators Camilleri, Hertel, Chang, and Polanki. And so today I will welcome up Senators Camilleri, Hertel, and Polanki to describe your bills. Welcome to committee.
All right. Thank you, Chair Kavanaugh, and thank you, members of the committee. I want to thank my colleagues here for working on this bill package. Listen, for far too long, big tech has profited off of our kids and exposed them to harmful content. I think many of us know this. Their privacy, safety, and well-being have not been a priority of these social media platforms, and today is a first step in holding them accountable and putting our kids first. This package addresses addictive feeds, protects their personal data, empowers parental control, and regulates potentially harmful AI chatbots. My bill, Senate Bill 757, focuses on the algorithms of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., as well as during regular school hours from September to June. Our children should not be kept up at night or occupied during learning hours
with me on this package. And thank you to Chair Kavanaugh and members of the committee for hearing testimony on this today. I'm going to speak to both bills that make up the kids' code forms while also putting parents back in the driver's seat, giving them the power to protect their kids online just as they do in the real world. And before I go into the weeds of this legislation, I just want to say that I'm here today as a parent as well. My wife and I constantly talk about how to approach the issue of technology and social media with our 2 boys. But this dilemma of if and when to introduce technology and social media into a child's life is one that parents all across our state are facing today. And it's made all the more difficult by big tech companies putting their own profit margin ahead of our kids' well-being. So without further delay, I'd like to go into what these bills do and how they can keep our kids safe online. Senate Bill 78 would require platforms to default all privacy settings provided for minors to the highest level of privacy. It would also prohibit online platforms from prompting or giving minors easy access to make their privacy settings less protective. The bill also allows an online platform to process the minimum amount of personal data necessary, and they would not be able to use any of that personal data for any reason other than those for which the data was specifically collected. And this is important if you think that with our children today, by the time they turn 18 years of age, these companies have millions of data points on them. And so these settings are particularly important as these companies work to get as many data points on all of us. But it is particularly concerning with our children. So finally, this bill gives parents greater control over their children's online accounts. It gives them the tools to make sure their kids are engaging safely online. So what does this look like in action? Parents have the ability to manage their kids' privacy settings, restrict purchases and financial transactions of their children on social media platforms, view the total time their children have spent online, and place reasonable limits on their screen time, and restrict their kids' use of social media during certain times of day, including during school hours and at night. Senator Chang's companion bill, Senate Bill 759, would provide the Michigan Attorney General with the authority to enforce this act. So, colleagues, these bills at their core are about building the kind of world that we want for our kids. A world where they are more focused on passing their math tests or not counting how many clicks or how many likes or shares their social media posts might have. A world where they are excited about seeing their friends at soccer practice, not always through a screen. Right now, because of big tech and their exploitive practices, parents are struggling to give their children that kind of life. But we can change that with this legislation. And if members have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them after my colleague, Senator Blahanky, testifies.
Good afternoon, Chairwoman Kavanaugh, members of the committee. Thank you for holding this hearing and for centering the conversation where it belongs, on our kids. When new technologies enter our lives, especially technologies that interact daily with young people, there's a basic expectation that safety will come first. Unfortunately, that has not been the case with AI companion chatbots and their rapid expansion. These systems are being deployed at scale, marketed as friendly, supportive, and conversational. Yet they're being released without any meaningful safeguards for minors. And when something goes wrong, the consequences can be very grave. My bill, Senate Bill 760, establishes clear safety guardrails to protect kids from dangerous AI companion chatbots by prohibiting platforms from making chatbots available to minors if they encourage self-harm, suicide, violence, substance abuse, disordered eating, illegal activity, harm to others, and that includes the creation of child sexual abuse material, engaging in erotic or sexually explicit interactions with the chatbot, or prioritizing, validating a minor's beliefs or desires over factual accuracy and the child's safety. The bill also prevents chatbots from offering mental health therapy to minors without direct supervision by a licensed or credentialed professional, or from discouraging minors from seeking help from a qualified professional or a trusted adult. To ensure accountability, the Attorney General would enforce the law through civil actions, including fines of up to $25,000 per violation. Injunctive or declaratory relief and recovery of attorney fees, and families under my bill would be empowered to seek justice if their child is harmed, including actual and punitive damages, legal costs, and any other relief the court finds appropriate. I urge this committee to advance policies that put kids over clicks and to make clear that in Michigan, protecting kids is not optional. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Senators. Any questions from committee members? I do know we have an array of experts to also testify. I do have one. Can you explain, and I know you just touched on that a little bit, but enforcement for each and every one of these bills and how that might look? Let's just say a family, these bills pass and then a family experiences something like that. What does that enforcement look like?
I believe my bill is the only bill, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, that allows civil litigation to take place. The rest would be fines for, I'm not 100% sure, but all of the bills in this package give the Attorney General the ability to make the case and assert fines. And in my case, civil litigation can also take place, and the fine is $25,000 per violation.
Yes, and just looking at my notes here. So we have, under the Kids Code Act, entities that violate the act are subject to a civil fine of up to $50,000 for each violation starting on January 1st, 2027. Violation of the act is also considered a violation of the Michigan Consumer Protection Act, which would allow the Attorney General to investigate and bring enforcement actions as well.
Thank you. I do think we have a question from Senator Tice.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for bringing these forward. I think almost all of us parents have experienced what this might look like and how dangerous it could be. So kudos for addressing it. I have a couple of questions. First thing, though, I wanted to say there's an article in the Wall Street Journal today about Gemini interacting with a fellow and talked him into killing himself. So it's a timely article. That was an adult. I'm reading here under definitions. I was trying to figure out how do you verify whether or not someone's a kid. And it seems like the phrase actual knowledge might end up being a defense for anything you're trying to go after because they didn't have actual knowledge. How are you going to require an ID? What are we going to, how do we verify
That was a
this?
question I had too. The age verification platforms and programs are getting very, very good. And I'm going to let an expert who comes after me explain exactly how that works. But there are a variety of ways that were new to me where they're successfully determining age verification without, violating privacy rights. For example, you don't have to submit your driver's license or anything like that. We also don't want to butt up, in Australia, they got rid of social media for all kids, but we have the First Amendment here. So in other states, they've been butting up against First Amendment rights. So we're going as far as we can with this bill package without violating people's First Amendment rights. But in answer to your question, the age verification process is getting better and better, but I'm going to have to let someone who knows all the technical aspects speak on it further.
I would just say, we're going to have a few people to talk a little bit more about that as well, but it is a concern that we should be making sure that this is done accurately because we want to ensure that we are enforcing the proper protocols around protecting our kids.
And I'll just add a real-life experience to your point. I mean, my son on one app that says they have age verification, and I looked at it, and anybody could have found a way around it, including my 8-year-old son. And other apps I've seen that have better age verification. And to Senator Plahenke's point, I think the technology is getting better to where the different apps and social media sites have the tools necessary to do this in the right way. I think what we're trying to balance here in the law is to make sure that we are pushing them and requiring them to use those tools in a proper way, the best they can to verify age.
I think the language in it, though, allowed for
Them less competitive because of our laws. So this is just the beginning, and this is an opening so we can all learn more about this. Before I got this bill, I didn't even know there was such a thing as an AI companion chatbot. And I wish I didn't know what they were now, so thank you.
Thank you, Senators, and I look forward to continuing to partnership on what these bills look like. I think the last question I have for Senator Camilleri is a little bit more of the definition piece too, is you use addictive a lot in the legislation. Can you describe what that addictive feed might look like?
You see this in various platforms, but you have, you find an interest in one particular item on your social media feed, whether it's sports or music or whatever that is, it can continue to just give you that type of material that you're looking for and send you down the rabbit hole for hours and hours on end. I mean, this is not unique to children. This happens to adults as well. I think social media use is at an all-time high across our population, across the country. And, it causes a challenge as people are more interested in watching videos and interacting online than they are interacting in person. And so this is a larger societal problem about what has become addictive, but it is clear that the patterns and behaviors of kids through addiction, they are mirroring other addictions that we've identified, with other problems and other challenges in society. We want to be in a space where we are curbing that addiction to the best of our ability.
Yeah, and I do think over the years, we're just seeing the resources and technology become more and more addictive to that individual's consume of their social media. I do appreciate your testimony. I do want to move on, so thank you. Next, we'll have up Dr. Julie Brzezinski, PhD, LP owner and director of Monarch Behavioral Health PLC, and I'll also welcome up Dr. Elizabeth Hill, pediatrician, to join. Thank you for being here. Yep, there's a button at the bottom of the mic to turn it on. Perfect.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Chair Kavanaugh and all the members of this committee for allowing my testimony today in support of this legislation. I share my perspective through a couple of different lenses. As you said, I'm a fully licensed clinical psychologist in the state of Michigan. I completed my doctorate at Wayne State and went on to complete my postdoctoral training at the Warren Alport School of Medicine at Brown University. I am the clinical director of Monarch Behavioral Health. I'm an expert in neurodevelopment as well as pediatric mental health, and I am the mother of 2 adolescent girls. And so this topic, this regulation, this legislation is of both personal and professional importance to me. When I'm at the clinic conducting testing or therapy, as well as when I'm in schools for advocacy and providing free workshops in our community, parents, teachers, all caregivers, they are clamoring for reasonable strategies to stop this addiction, reduce their child's use, and keep them safe. And we give those strategies, but what's available to parents right now, it's like placing sandbags out for a tsunami. So when we talk about social media, it is really helpful to understand neurodevelopment just a little bit. And anybody in this room can join me and do this. It's a quick and fun way to learn a little bit about neurodevelopment. If you put your hand up like this, and you fold your thumb in, and then bend your fingers down and bend your wrist, you have a great model of a little developing brain. This is the front, this is the back. If this were my brain, it would sit in my skull like this. What is important to know as it relates to social media and AI is that brains are developed in layers with different regions. Our region and our layer for emotion and connection and reward circuitry, which plays a big part in addiction, is there from day one. It is firing when we are born. Then, when we look at the outer cortical layers, our frontal lobe is actually still going through development into our 20s. And that is where our regulation of strong emotions, our decision-making, our judgment, and our ability to inhibit impulses comes from. And so this means that kids and teens are highly susceptible to experiencing intense emotions and getting hooked into addictive systems such as social media and AI chatbots, while their ability to regulate the emotions and impulses is not yet well developed. This package of bills directly addresses this by trying to accurately classify minor accounts, giving parents more than sandbags, more strategies to be able to regulate their children's use, and it seeks to reduce the addictive nature of feeds. The package of bills also seeks to end exploitive, targeted advertising. This is huge. During my parent workshops in the community, parents are horrified, absolutely horrified to learn that their child's vulnerable moments are being monetized and exploited by social media and AI to the tune of billions each year. When a girl posts a selfie and then removes it, that behavior is coded and then sold to the highest bidder. A beauty or weight loss ad is then populated in her feed. This happens for children and teens. These moments are monetized on our vulnerable children, and they are being exploited. So, to be clear, increased time spent on social media results in increased anxiety, increased depression. Then those moments of insecurity, vulnerability, sadness are monetized and exploited. And this is all within a system that keeps kids actively addicted and coming back for more. And at our practice and in our community, and certainly I hear it in schools, we are seeing the evidence of this every day. You know, you mentioned today there is report of an AI chatbot driving somebody to suicidal completion, and that is devastating. I'm here to tell you it's not rare. It's happening every day. Every day in our clinic, we are getting kids that are victims of sexploitation, as well as going down the road with AI chatbots, feeling like they are empathic. And our neurodevelopmental centers tell us these AI chatbots have human qualities, and kids cannot regulate that. It is dangerous. So we desperately want to give parents and kids in Michigan a fighting chance against the tsunami of predatory and exploitive practices. So we must put Michigan's parents and children in a position to effectively use technology, not be used by technology.
Thank you for your testimony.
Hello, Chair Kavanaugh and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today in support of this group of kids' online safety legislation. My name is Dr. Elizabeth Hill. I'm a board-certified general pediatrician here in the state of Michigan. I practice in our state for about the past decade, caring for the health and well-being of kids. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak today about how we can design digital spaces to be safer and healthier for Michigan children. So around the same time that many kids get smartphones and social media accounts, their brains are entering a developmental period that increases their sensitivity to peer reinforcement, attention, and feedback. And these are all key features of the social media algorithms that aim to maximize user engagement. These platforms are designed to be addictive, and they're designed to be addictive to an adult brain, so subjecting a child's still developing brain to those same design features is really exploitative and inappropriate. We know that kids who spend more time on social media are more likely to experience depression and anxiety, and they're more likely to feel worse about their body image. And many teens report that they are using social media almost constantly. This means that they are being almost constantly exposed to something that can cause significant harm without any guardrails in place. In my work, I often see the negative impacts that social media can have on kids, and I see that families are feeling really overwhelmed when it comes to safely managing their kids' experiences with tech. Asking families to stay up to date on all the latest technology and how it can affect their kids, on top of all the other things that they're doing to raise their children, is unfair to them, and it's an unreasonable ask. This technology is changed, and some of that, and the Lead for Kids Act will protect kids from harmful and inappropriate interactions with chatbots. These are realistic and useful safety features that will allow kids to access the positive components of these platforms in a safer, more developmentally appropriate way. As a pediatrician, I would be remiss if I didn't want all kids to wear a helmet when they ride a bicycle or be in an age and size appropriate car seat when they ride in a car. This doesn't mean I don't want them to ride a bike or be in a car, but I do want them to have certain safety features and harm that's possible. And we owe it to them to try to design these platforms in such a way that they can experience the positive features without this high risk of harm always lurking over them. So this set of legislation puts some of that burden back on the companies producing these platforms to make sure that they are doing their part to keep kids safe by defaulting kids' settings to the most private and least disruptive and invasive.
Have a stratified network of practices